Hey guys, what's going on? Well, today we're going to go looking for an encryption board. This is the third take I've done on this. I've actually taken it apart 3 times, so you're welcome. Okay, what you need to do on an XTS3000, the only way to check for encryption is to actually take the radio apart. And for a lot of people that would be something that, you know, is a last resort that you'd want to do. But let me turn this light off. Actually, I don't know if that's better or not. Anyway, we're going to go looking for an encryption board today. So first thing to do would be to disconnect an audio adapter if you have one. Disconnect the antenna. I've done this 3 times, so right now it doesn't really matter. If you do have an RF adapter on there, make sure you unscrew that. Take the battery off the radio. Okay? Now, to check for encryption, use this. I can't stress, you know, if you, like I said, if you pay 24 bucks for something like this, you're getting hosed, because they're $6.99 from any Motorola dealer. It's specially made just for removing a case, a housing on an XTS3000, and there are actually more uses, just like going in. It's a non-marring tool. It's not gonna dick your radio up. So you know, if you want to ding your radio up, use a screwdriver, but trust me, you don't want to do that. On here you've got, between this back plate and the bottom housing is where this piece, you need to insert the piece just like this. It needs to go between, try and get a good angle on this, it needs to go between the housing and the back plate. It's got 2 pins that are engaged right now. As you put this in, hold it and give it it's already released. So that action of these teeth coming down actually released the radio already. Gently slip it out until you can see that those 2 pieces are out. Stop right there and take a look at the O-ring. Check all the way around the radio if you need to. Okay, so then lift it up a little higher to where it's almost freed from the radio from the back side. By the way, for electrostatic discharge, make sure that you're grounded. What you do is you gently pull back, not hold on to the radio and hold on to the piece. This O-ring very well may come off like this. Try and leave it just like it came off, but that O-ring's going to be a bitch to get on, and you'll see why in a minute when we put it back together. Here is the flex connector. Shit. Here's the flex connector right here. Gently, there's a little lip here where you can take your finger and you can disconnect it. So you've just freed the housing up, and you've done it the proper way. Okay, right now you're looking at the radio. What you need to do is you should have a pin on this one. This one's missing one. A lot of times people will get these units and they'll put the encryption in themselves, and you'll see, actually when I took this apart on the last take, one of the pieces kind of flew. What you need to do is keep your thumb down on that when you go to get this out. There's a little ridge right here. take a screwdriver that will fit. In fact, that's not the right one. This one will work. Okay, take a screwdriver that will fit in that channel. It's just enough to do it. Okay, pull back and you'll feel it release. There's a tooth right up on the top. Gently lift that off. There's the tooth. You can see it face downward. That goes into the inside of that cover. Keep your parts together, by the way, when you do this. Before I go any further, I always seem to get ahead of myself because right here, this actually holds down part of the cover. You need to take this off. There's 2 points here where you disengage this. If this was on a Model 3, and you've got 2 parts here, if this was on a Model 3, you'd have an LCD right here. These are the posts the LCDs would ride on. So you can see the red markings. These are the posts that they would ride on. Let's go ahead and take that off of there. Okay. Keep your thumb on the top when you go up. So, okay, that's off. For all intents and purposes, that is off. It's disengaged. There are 2 channels right here. You need to be careful of this board, very careful of it. Put your screwdriver in and gently lift up. Don't take it off, just lift it up and hold it there. Okay. Now, gently slip this metal piece off. Set it down. Turn that light off. Same thing with this. Lift it up. Pull it out of this tooth right here. Just let it slip up and it'll come off. Keep it away from the board. And here's your cover. This cover, you've got 2, on the right hand side you've got 2 square holes, you've got 1 square hole here. This is how the cover goes on. I don't know if I can hold this up against the back and maybe, yeah, it shows a little bit better. But this is the configuration of it. You can see the way it's shaped. It's like a puzzle. A very annoying puzzle. A very annoying, brittle puzzle. Okay. Then, go ahead, slide your tool. It's got to fit right in that channel. You can use your tool to do this with. In fact, you know, I would almost rather do that, but I'm so good with the screwdriver. Yeah, I'm real good with the screwdriver. Lift that pin off. Okay, that's the second one. Should be the third one, but I'm missing that one on the other side. Okay, this is the radio, by the way. Duh. Then disengage that last pin. Hold it down and get that tooth off of there. Okay, now you've got the cover. Go ahead and lift the cover off. That is the cover. Now you've got your board. Okay. This up here, the board has a little raised indentation in it that fits here. You can tell that this radio has encryption in it actually by looking down, and I don't think I can get a light on this, but it's not, the board's not just like lifting up easily. So what it is it's plugged in. It's plugged into the encryption board. To unplug it from the encryption board, you can see right here, gently lift up. There is the connector, right there. Now, lift up and slip this off, and do not screw this board up. If you do, you might as well just toss the radio, because you know you fried it. There is the ridge that goes into. Be very careful with this board. This is money, and if you're working with an XTS3000, be very careful with it. Ah, there you go. It does have encryption. These teeth are what they call sailor proof. You can't, they're idiot proof, but believe me, you know, if there's a way to do something wrong, I can find it. But anyway, a lot of people will pull these boards. I'm not going to pull this board, I'm going to leave them in. But you have to check to see, and I've already checked. You can go further into this, but you don't need to. You don't need to go any further than this. This is where it's plugged in at. And that is DES XL DES OFB. So you've got your board. Okay, to put it back on, to reassemble it, you've got that ridge right here. You've got to hook it in just right. I'll try and get a good angle on this. Okay, now you can see here where the connector would go. This is actually more of like an A-type connector, but it could be more like a B-type connector. I mean, it's just it's a difficult connector, but you slide it back in, and you press down on these little tabs right here. Okay, the board is engaged. So you're not out of the woods yet by any means. Okay, now you take your cover. The cover goes on like this. There's 2 points right here, 2 reliefs in the board. You simply lay your cover on here. That's where it rests. Okay? Now, the hard part for me, and the hard part for anybody, because this board, all these little pieces are active. You know, they're not, I mean, they're active. You don't want to screw with them. You don't want to screw them up. And it's very easy, but you've got 2 indentions right here. You've got an engaging point right there that's indented. But the thing is, you've got, okay, put this on right, put this cover back on. If you're working with a Model 3 again, or a Model 2, you're going to have an LCD to deal with. But I'm going to go ahead and put 1 clip on to keep this down. You take your clip, you slide it over the top. It was giving me a low tone when I powered up, and it needs a key set into it. So I can get that done for, I can have that done if you need, if you really have a boner for encryption. You know, I can get the radio encryption key set. Let me take that off. I can get the radio encryption key set for $30 plus shipping both ways for you after you buy the radio. Okay, there's the channel right there. It just lines right up. I'm going to go ahead and put all these pieces back on before I put that other piece back on, because this is actually the proper way to do it. Either wear a wrist or an ankle strap and make sure you're grounded, because electrostatic discharge kills radios quick. Okay, just simply apply a little bit of pressure and that pin will seat in. So you've got it pretty well back to the way you had it. Okay, now this is the scary part. At least for me it is, and I think for anybody. You put your protective cover on again. 2 on the right, 1 on the left. You seat it right in here. You line it up to where it's lined up just right. Okay, now you take this pin. This pin has teeth on the bottom. These teeth right there, see those teeth? Those teeth go into the indentions on the board that we're looking at right here. And with all the little circuits in there, if you get that on wrong, you're gonna fuck your board up. Just plain and simple. And you've got to be very careful when you do this. And be very gentle. Make sure the teeth are engaged before you put any pressure down whatsoever on it. Right now it's in the proper position. Look at it from the other side if you need to. Put even pressure down on both points and press. Okay, we've got one on. Take your other pin right here. It has one tooth on it. That tooth goes right on this other part right here. First, always put it on. Run that tooth to where it's always on, engaged first. Don't do it the other way around. Don't do it like, don't try and do it this way. Make sure that it's in the proper position this way, going away from the radio as we're looking at it. Turn the radio around, make sure it's lined up. Is it lined up? Yeah. Even pressure down. Okay, you've got it. Now, the O-ring. If I get this on the first time, it will be a miracle, because the way it came off, they have a tendency to roll on you. So work it around the channels here. And $10 says, well, I would say that that this thing could come off when I'm trying to put the case back on. But make sure it runs along the channels properly. That's the way it should be on. But as you put the housing on, this thing can have a tendency to roll off of the rail, and it will drive you nuts. But make sure it's in place, and then take your housing. You've got your B connector. The B connector goes right onto here. If you've got an A connector, same thing. Line it up, press down, and what I tell you, see, son of a bitch. Go ahead and disconnect. Go ahead and disconnect the connector again. It's not worth screwing the flux up trying to dick with an O-ring. O-rings are very difficult to deal with. And if you get it right the first time, consider yourself really, really lucky, because they want to roll on you. They want to roll on you. At least they want to roll on me. But having to shoot this a third time really sucks. I don't know why the video didn't come out right. One time I didn't have the radio in frame. That was my fault. But the other time, this camera's been giving me all kinds of grief. But as you can tell, I'm having problems getting it on that channel. But it's got to be on right, because it seals the radio from the elements. It's got to be on right, and it's got to ride along the rail. Let's try it again. Hope that the damn thing won't come off. Okay, engage your flex. Hold your fingers on both sides to kind of keep that from rolling. Now, slip the top part in first. Make sure everything lines up and feels right. If it doesn't feel right, it's not on there right. Give a little bit of pressure. It should just slide right in. Stop right there. Look around the radio. Make sure that the seal is in place. Now you take your tool. You're going to have to invert it because you've got these teeth right here. So you know, if you go to put on, if you don't invert it to give off a little bit of relief, see the way that's angled? If you don't invert it, you can damage the case, and a lot of times you'll see a case that has a couple little indentions. It's just because they didn't invert the tool. But you slide it in, inverted, you give it a press, and you slip out. There you go. Now, even people who do this all the time can have a little section of O-ring showing. Mine, I got lucky on this one. But usually when you use this tool, that will eliminate a lot of that. But at the same time, it's possible that, you know, that you can pinch that O-ring. If you do, make sure you go right back in and pull that thing out, because you don't want to pinch that and degrade that O-ring. But that's how you do it. And it does have DES OFB. Put your battery back on, you know, put your connector back on. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to fuck with it anymore. Taking it off 3 times to shoot. You know, I wanted to do, I think I've probably done one on a Model 3, I don't know. But I needed to do it, and once I start doing something, if it, you know, if something goes wrong, it pisses me off. And but again, you'll need to set the keys, because the ketone will show, the ketone will show that you need to actually have a keyloader keyload the key in. And like I said, I can get that done for 30 bucks. Shipping plus shipping both ways. 30 bucks for the job. But anyway, that's how you do it. And I'm not going to dick with this anymore. And really, the less you dick with the radio, the better off you'll be. So, you know, unless, you know, if you're really, you know, I mean, those encryption boards are probably, they're probably 60 bucks. So, I mean, a lot of people will go and they'll take those boards out. I'm not going to do that. I've needed to check my radios for encryption. I've done that. And, you know, they've got the encryption in them. The only way you can look at a Model 3 and make sure that it does have encryption is to actually go in and look. Means you have to take the radio apart, but that's just part of the headache. But anyway, guys, take it easy later on. I'm done with this.